Chair now recognizes the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Schatz, is the federal government too big?
Yes, the expenditures certainly are, which makes the entity itself too
$7
big.
trillion in annual spending, 400 agencies and sub-agencies, 1,000 boards and commissions. I think anyone, maybe even the people on the other side of the aisle, I think anyone would say, almost everyone would say, that's too big. And when you have big government, does big government have a tendency to spend taxpayer money on stupid things?
That's part of the reason that we're here, and it's one of the things that Citizens Against Government Waste has been documenting for many, many years.
You've been highlighting this for like 100 years. I mean, I've known you for a long time. God bless you for persisting.
Organization, 41 years. I've been there 39.
And when you spend money, when you're the person spending money on something stupid, you just assume, you would just kind of hope that people don't really notice that, right? If you're in the government and you're spending, what did Ms. Boebert just say, $32,000 for a transgender comic in Peru, $16 million in gender.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Congress Every Day. Today I'm diving into Congressman Jim Jordan's fiery defense of Elon Musk and DOGE. If you've been keeping up with Musk's actions and the latest government debates, you're in for a treat. Jordan slams the size of the federal government, its inefficiency, and the shocking ways your taxpayer dollars are being spent. Trust me, this video will leave you questioning where our money is going. But before we jump into the details, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives into politics, finance, and everything in between. All right, let's break it down. First up, Jim Jordan starts with a hard-hitting question. Is the federal government too big? He argues that the government is massive, with over
development offices. You're spending money on stuff like that. You just kind of hope that people probably don't notice that. Is that probably fair to say? That's kind of human nature, I would think.
Well, that's part of the problem, is that the taxpayers don't know exactly how the money is being spent because there is not the transparency that, for example, Iowa, Ohio, Arizona, and other states have. And you should be able to push a button and find out how your tax dollars are being spent.
And so it's understandable why everyone on the left, all the proponents of big government, all the supporters of big government, all the people getting the taxpayer money from big government, it's understandable why they are attacking Elon Musk, because he's pointing out the stupid things that government spends money on. Is that fair to say?
With over $2 trillion in annual spending, 400 agencies, and 1,000 boards and commissions. That's a lot of bureaucracy. Jordan suggests that most people, regardless of party affiliation, would agree that this is way too much. He highlights the inefficiencies that come with such a bloated system, saying it's one of the main reasons taxpayer dollars are wasted. What do you think? Is the government too big, or is this the size it needs to handle such a large country? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the juicy part: wasteful spending. Jordan points to absurd expenditure.
He's not making it up, and in fact, many of the recommendations he's making
Great point.
have been made
He's not
for years.
making it up. He's citing every single thing.
Right.
Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's there. I mean, look, the Department of Education has been something that was recommended by President Reagan to be eliminated, and many others since then. U.S. Digital Service, U.S. DOGE Service. Digital Service was duplicating the private sector. Same with 18F at GSA. So he's already helped save money by doing that.
So Democrats, instead of saying, yeah, we should probably not spend $32,000 for a transgender comic in Peru, yeah, it's probably not a wise expenditure of taxpayer money to have Sesame Street played in Baghdad, Iraq. It's on all that list. Instead of saying we should figure out how we stop that, they're saying, no. We got to stop the guy who's pointing out the stupid things that government's spending
expenditures money. Like $32,000 spent on a transgender comic in Peru and $16 million for gender development offices. These are just a couple of examples, and the list goes on. It's clear that Jordan is frustrated by how the government seems to be throwing away taxpayer money on unnecessary projects. It begs the question, why does this keep happening, and why isn't anyone being held accountable? If you're as shocked as I am, make sure to subscribe because we cover stories like this all the time. You don't want to miss out. One of the biggest issues Jim Jordan raises is transparency.
Spending money, taxpayer money, the money that people in the 4th District that I represent, their money on these kind of stupid things. Now it's being reported that there's something even maybe worse going on. It's been reported today that media outlets were paid millions of dollars by USAID. Now, the media outlets are saying this is for subscriptions to their publication, but I find that interesting. And one of the particulars that's pointed out, the FDA paid Politico $517,000 for 37 subscriptions.
He argues that taxpayers have no clue how their money is being spent because the system is just too opaque. Jordan points out that in states like Iowa, Ohio, and Arizona, citizens can easily track their tax dollars. Why doesn't the federal government have something similar? If you believe we deserve more transparency, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on this ongoing issue. In one of the most compelling parts, Jim Jordan defends Elon Musk. He explains that Musk isn't just making things up when he criticizes the government. In fact, Musk is spotlighting real examples of wasteful spending and redundancy. Jordan praises Musk's efforts to reduce duplication, like eliminating the U.S. digital service.
That seems kind of high to me. Does that seem that way to you, Mr. Schatz?
Doing the math quickly, that seems excessive, yes.
Yeah, that seems a lot for now. Maybe there's some explanation here. Maybe this, maybe Politico is so darn important that it costs that much and taxpayer money should be spent for. But I find that interesting, particularly $517,000 for 37 subscriptions when it's the press, the government paying the press. Does that in some way maybe jeopardize what the press, the free press that we're supposed to have in our great country?
Well, it's certainly something that taxpayers probably didn't know until today. I didn't know that.
Didn't know until
Digital
today.
service and other programs that mimic private sector services. Musk's cost-cutting efforts are seen as a huge win for taxpayers. This is where it gets interesting. Musk is going after the system. But instead of fixing things, some Democrats are attacking him. Why? Because he's pointing out the stupid things the government spends money on. How do you feel about Musk's approach? Here's the last eye-opener.
Until today, and it's also government paying the press that kind of money. 37 subscriptions will give you $500,000. Might Politico write favorable things about the particular administration who's paying that money? I don't know. I'm not saying that happened, but you can sure look at some of the things that's been reported by some of the press, particularly Politico, and you can't help but ask that question. Governor Reynolds, I got like 50 seconds. You came all the way from the great state of Iowa. I'll give you a chance to comment on any of the things I raised there. But I do think this is amazing. The guy who's pointing out the stupid things the government spends money on, that's who gets attacked versus, no, let's fix the stupid things and not spend money on them. I just don't get that. And I think
Media outlets, including Politico, have been paid millions by USAID for subscriptions, raising serious concerns. Jordan notes that the FDA paid Politico a whopping $517,000 for just 37 subscriptions. That's a lot of taxpayer money for something that seems like a basic expense. This brings up an even bigger issue. When the government is paying the press this kind of money, can we trust the media to report without bias? Could this money influence how certain stories are covered? It's something we all need to think about. Finally, Jim Jordan stresses the importance of fiscal responsibility. He's calling for a more efficient government that cuts waste and saves taxpayer money. The government has racked up $36 trillion in debt and adds $2 trillion annually. It's a serious problem needing immediate attention. As Jordan rightly points out, instead of attacking people like Elon Musk who highlight these issues, we need to focus on fixing the problem. The American people deserve better. That's it for today's breakdown. If you want to stay updated on this topic and